So this is welcome to our 80th session of the game, as I realized I hadn't fully set everything up. So, I will have people introduce themselves and their characters and put phones on silent so they don't make too many beepy noises, which is always fun. So, today we have Jeremy online.
Yes, good evening all. I'm playing Dmitry Dimitrov, the sage, wise man, all-round wonderful guy with the knowledge you need at the time you need it, who in his travels now has discovered that he has a lineage almost worthy of his greatness, that being the fact that he's a direct descendant of Helev, the Immortal of Caldara and Karameikos. And since then he's realised that his destiny is to take an equivalent immortal place, or a better immortal place, I should say, obviously.
So he's also a direct descendant of one of the vampire lords.
True, indeed, but he's less interested in talking about that one. But to be fair, okay, he worked out that Helev was a direct descendant of the vampire lord, so therefore he was also descended in that sort of way. Although the implication being that he might be a multiple time direct descendant of the vampire lord, he kept coming back.
It does, and especially
there are not enough words in the language of men or elves to describe how much both I and my character hate Dmitry.
So that brings us to David.
Yes, hello, I am David. I play Plumman. We both share an absolute disdain for Dmitry, but Plumman himself is an Ethangarian horse lord, an expert horseman, great at fighting on the back of a horse, never does, and also undefeated champion of the world.
And lastly tonight we have Martin.
I'm playing Trellen Silverleaf, the Wood Elf Kenzai monk, and I'm looking forward to reaching 10th level.
So as we have had a few hiccups and bumps along the way, we are basically going to describe how we want the character stories to unfold, and that will give an idea of how they got to 10th level and some of the trials and tribulations they had. So I'll start off with, even though we're in the middle of doing Trellen, but give Martin a chance to think of how he'd like to finish the story. We'll start off with Bradshaw, considering he's the one who's not here. So we have a dwarf who has been tasked with bringing a bunch of villains to heal for doing a lot of nasty stuff.
And technically, we found out that also his goat also had a quest, didn't it?
It does.
We didn't indicate what the quest was.
Well, as it turns out, I have an idea of what the quest was because I had a plan all along.
Yeah. But actually, when the characters actually found out what the quest was at one point. But certainly, yes, I suspect that for Bradshaw, the villains he was rounding up were mainly based around Karameikos 5 Shires, were they not?
He actually thought it was the previous party members. Turns out the real villain of the piece was a clan of dwarves in Rockholm. The people who built the tomb in the first place.
Yep.
And the people who prided themselves on wiping out the halfling tongue of Laylor from the 5 Shires.
Mm-hmm.
So, as he will end his story arc with dropping the Death Orb on that clan, what does the other 3 characters get out of their time in Rockholm?
Probably a rash. Well, there's a good chance that Plowman has spent most of his time trying to start fights and remaining the undefeated champion of the world through some sort of random hijinks.
So Plowman got to do many a horseback battle with dwarves on giant goats.
Turned them into skewers.
So he got to have this whole montage of horseback fights through the mountains.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yep. See? That's providing something to you.
Yes, the character has done amazing things, the player.
And also noted down is undefeated.
Yes.
So
and is also now a gourmet chef. Have you ever had a dwarf kebab?
I am sure that there are plenty of halflings who will relish that recipe.
Especially a certain female halfling chef.
Yes. Alright, so it turns out Plowman doesn't like dwarves anymore. Cool, got it.
So, what did Dimitri get out of his time in Rockholm wiping out a dwarvish clan?
Well, he wasn't necessarily planning on wiping them out when we first arrived, but recognised that it might be a problem. So he was actually spent the time gaining some insight, or attempting to, gaining some insight into the earth magic of the dwarves, specifically so that he might have a better understanding of Gallagher's staff, noting that it's never really quite gelled for him, considering he's fire aspected and therefore the earth stuff has been a problem. So he's always looking at if he's going to actually, he's taken over Gallagher's tower and therefore thinks that yes, the staff should be an important part of that. So he has been trying to reduce the discomfort and the distaste using the staff, and he was hoping that the dwarves might help him to get around that sort of situation. Of course, Dimitri being Dimitri, I'm sure that all the dwarves were quite happy to help him in every way possible as soon as they had the opportunity to meet him and talk to him for more than 2 minutes.
So what I gather out of that one is Dimitri manages to get himself a stone to flesh potion.
Okay.
He tried to find out information about the earth magic of the dwarves, and instead stumbled across runic lore from the 5 Shires.
Okay.
Of a language he's never seen before.
Which is, but presumably, the language of the halflings.
Which you believe is the language of the halflings, yes, as taught to them by the elves.
Are the runes in like an alphabet that he recognises?
That's where he has a chance to start learning. So
okay,
he's managed to find that this is one of the last repositories of lore from the 5 Shires that was stolen.
Okay. Yep. Oh, and like I say, when I was talking about the runes, it's got the aspect of like in modern day type stuff. There's a lot of languages that use Arabic numerals and things, and therefore the words look odd, but the actual letters themselves are recognisable.
These letters are not recognisable. These letters were never used in other languages.
Okay, thank you.
So it was a splinter language, not a derivative language.
Yep.
It's like the Dwarvish runes are different to the Elvish script, and the Halfling is almost like a combination of Dwarvish runes using Elvish script, but neither.
Yeah.
So the Giant language is also runic and different. So you're surprised to find that the Halflings did have a runic language that was unique, but has, until now, been lost to the region.
Yeah.
So, while we've got that, what does Trellen get out of his trip to the rock home and the dwarves?
Oh, I don't know if they like having their heads patted.
So, grievous bodily injury is what he gets.
Maybe is their reaction. But hopefully I can dodge that because I have the Cloak of Displacement.
Okay, so Trellen has learned many a way to tease and torment a dwarf.
Yeah, I don't think there is anything useful to learn.
From your character's perspective, that's completely up to them, because there are many things that they could have been the Gimli bridge of Legolas and Gimli sort of thing, where you actually decided that your character had done the connection with the dwarves so that they were more of your friend and welcoming you. That is an option.
Well, with my charisma of 8, I'm not sure that that's conceivable.
It might actually not go down too badly with the dwarves, who are blunt, brusque, and belligerent most of the time.
Thanks, you got a charisma of 8 in relation to elves and humans, but dwarves are used to ugly people. And besides, you might have been following in the footsteps a bit of the what's his name? Airleaf or something? The elf that was taking us around.
Alphine, yeah.
Alphine.
And you could become one of the first elves in a long time to be accepted amongst the dwarves.
Of course, we all hasn't died anyway, so.
If my 8 charisma is supporting that, then I'm happy to go down that path.
Okay. So, with your teasing and tormenting of the dwarves, you managed to make yourself friends amongst the dwarves, who appreciated your bad humour and attempt at mockery.
Okay.
Because you weren't going there trying to sell them pretty trinkets and lies. You were basically telling them bluntly what you thought of them.
Okay.
And to be honest, that's not something you really need to roll for. Your character says, I am very blunt and I tell everyone what I think. That's not a bad thing. So that ended up with Trellen having friends with Bradshaw's clan, as the rival clan ends up attacked by their own honoured dead.
Yep.
So that pretty much ties up Bradshaw. What would Dimitri?
Just writing down for Dimitri type stuff here. You got the found the runes, the records of the ancient Halfling language on the Earth Halfling yet. The stone to flesh potion, but I think there was one other aspect that.
Yes, the other thing he tried to find out about earth magic from the dwarves. Unfortunately, they liked Trellen more.
With that.
Sorry for stealing that.
No. As I said, it was something that he was merely trying to do to make it more comfortable in the tower he was going to be. But It's certainly not an important one.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dimitri has. What is Dimitri's plan in trying to save the world in this time loop? Besides just the dragon.
Okay, so yeah, when we're going through Dimitri's timeline, which based on the fact that we found that we didn't necessarily want to be going back and actually resetting, because we found that the time remnants were going to be getting closer and closer every time we went back.
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely encouraged the group to look into his immediately after Trellen had managed to reconnect with his clan, the Kalari Elves. So whilst we were in Karameikos,
He can do that on Trellen's timeline as well. He can do a bunch of stuff there. So just remember that, so you can spread some of them around a little bit.
and that's what I mean. It's the sense that it's the idea of there was at least two or three, I think, that was effectively Karameikos
There were.
that we would aim to try and do consecutively, as long as it still happened within the 6-month period type stuff, which I don't see why it shouldn't have for most of them. So basically, yes, once we've gone through and gone into the Radlib Woods and met up with Trellen's new clan, or new for him, but obviously ancient clan of Kalari Elves. We then moved on further to the. As part of that, we had to go and get to the eastern Kalari Elves as well, as part of his getting to meet all his family and friends. And so, whilst in the eastern part of Karameikos, Dimitri was able to gain word of this grass dragon. Do I have a name for the dragon?
We did, but it's been so long now that even I forget.
It's like obviously yes, the grass dragon D, and Dimitri managed to catch up with him after several trials and tribulations, including coming across the bloody pesky pixies again, which, as I say, Dimitri didn't like them much the first time round, but
You like them even less the second time round because they actually had to send you back in time to find the dragon before he died.
And also I had to like them even less because he didn't have River around to distract them this time round, so or one of the others having a gold piece drop on his head on regular occasions, which the pixies very much enjoyed watching. But having caught up with the pixies again, and they were able to point him in the direction of Grass Dragon D.
Mm-hmm. And Dimitri found himself about 5 or 6 years, or at least, in the past from where he expected to be.
Yep.
Because at the time where you are, the dragon had died. So to actually save the dragon, you had to go back further in time.
Okay. The dragon was quite young when we met him the first time, wasn't he?
He was, yes.
Yeah, okay. So obviously he didn't get to live to a ripe old age for dragonkind. He always got killed off early. And it turned out that he had been killed off. And part of his death was the disappointment at his apparent friends having not returned for his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dimitri carefully explains the fact that, yes, unfortunately, his colleagues got pulled away and unfortunately fell in with a very bad crowd, and they were not people he actually wanted to meet again, trust me. although I've been hearing rumours that perhaps you did meet them again. But if you do see them in about 18 months' time from now, stay away from River. But yes, unfortunately, I was having seen them fall into such bad crowds and bad influences. I moved on to assist other higher beings, and was unfortunately unable to celebrate your birthday because of the being trapped down within the Hollow World. And so, have you heard of the Hollow World? Have you heard of the world beneath us?
Okay, so
if he hasn't, Dimitri will certainly go into great storytelling makes about all the different pieces and things like that.
He thinks the story that you give him is a great birthday present. Then he looks at Plumman expectantly to see what Plumman's going to do for his birthday present.
Yes, because obviously at the end of the tale, as Dimitri's given him this present type stuff, he'll then explain the fact that yes, as I said, my previous companions were bad sort you don't want to meet again, and as I say, trust me, 18 months from now, do not be in this location. And if you see River, make sure you go the other way. But my companions now, I would provide you much greater friendship, storytelling, and adventures that would be marvellous to your metallic ears. And he'll then indicate Plumman to allow him to step forward. Although David might still be muted for his other activities.
Then we'll ask Martin, how does he help this dragon celebrate his birthday?
Oops.
Okay, we'll go. Looks like we have a Plumman, so what does Plumman do?
This idiot wants stories, right?
Well, he doesn't care what you give him, he's just glad that there's someone there.
Because Dimitri did explain, not that anyone in the party actually listened to him on the way to it, but okay, Dimitri was explaining the situation that had gone through, the fact that, yes, all we've got to do to save the world on this one and stop the dragons descending and destroying vast swathes of Karameikos is to keep this dragon happy on his birthday.
Ah. Well, Plumman will spend a while telling the dragon the stories of the great Uyghur nobles and how they battle up on horseback amongst the steppes, their great green foes to the north, then the other clans and the other Ethingarian clans to the south, the east and the west. He'll tell the time when the Uyghurs had the Great Khan many generations ago, and how the breeding of the horses was so great and so vast that they could have fed a dragon for an entire life.
Okay.
He also tells the story of Plumman the Undefeated, and all of the single combats that he indulged in, and when he took on giants and men and was never once defeated. Sometimes through sheer force of arms, and sometimes through sheer force of wit.
And he's actually had, for the first time in a long time, an audience who is enwrapped with every word he says.
Yes.
Because they don't care about charisma.
Or truth.
Never let the truth get in the way of good story.
And after Plumman finishes, he turns to Trellen. And what does Trellen tell this dragon for his birthday?
Or give him.
A hug. Honestly, I was thinking about giving him a hug.
Yep. Hey, from what I've heard about this dragon in the future, a hug's probably all he really needs.
Yeah, I'll give him a hug.
Okay, he is extremely happy with your character giving him a hug.
And I'll dwell on it just a little bit. So it's a little bit uncomfortable.
I'll take it that little bit further than it needs to go.
Yeah.
And Bradshaw tells him bad jokes.
And the goat gives himself to be eaten by the dragon.
At this point, there is no goat.
This is probably a good thing.
Okay, so after you end up telling him the stories as you leave, you find yourself stepping back into the clearing again, and the dragon seemed older, and he says, "You're back again this year."
Well, couldn't stay away.
As it seems a year has passed since you told him a story, the Pixies have made sure that someone keeps showing up to his birthday every year now. And he tells you, this time he tells you guys stories of how he had gone and seen the Wigan nobles for himself. How he had travelled the depths of the sea, and how he had how he was looking forward to catching up with you again, having returned only a few days ago to hopefully see you.
Okay, we'll certainly look forward to it, and Dimitri will be working out what year this was in his timeline to then describe potentially what had been happening in bits and pieces, although obviously a lot of it might have already been covered in the previous story anyway. But importantly, he'll check to see whether or not Dragon D had seen any evidence or heard any stories about River and her colleagues. And remember, 6 months from now, you don't want to meet her.
He had said he had not seen them because he had been travelling the world, seeing the sights that you had told him about.
Yep. Well,
he gives Trellen a ring of elvish make.
Really? I'm not sure what that does. I think I might have reached my level cap, but I'm happy to bump off an item.
Well, okay. Some items, it's always worth having, just ask Dimitri, it's always worth having more magical items. You don't need to be attuned to them all.
So Martin, for your perspective, pick a magical ring up to rare as a base ring, and just tell me what you want that to be. You don't have to get back to me straight away in that one.
Okay.
So that's basically something he's giving you as his gift for you on his birthday.
Oh, lovely.
To Plarman, he gives him a lock of horsehair.
Oh, cool. The reason he's starting to hand out gifts now is because Dimitri's explained to him the fact how much better it is to give than receive. Because that's Dimitri.
Plarman loves to give Dimitri axes.
And this lock of horsehair will have special significance to you when either braided in your hair or your horse's hair.
Thanks.
To Dimitri, he gives him a book.
Does the book have a title?
Nerd.
What bit of
Look it out if we go into it. Yep.
trivia would you want to know about? Which you can also come and think about and get back to me on.
Yep, I'll have a think about it, but yes, it's probably going to be... I'll probably click coming in Karameikos area on the idea that he probably got some knowledge about that directly, but yeah, I'll work it out.
And Bradshaw, he gives him his lost hammer.
Again? Lost it again?
And yes, I had set that one up earlier too. So
Amazing.
it was always decided to have that one show up and say, here you go, here's something that I believe you've lost.
So is that the one that he threw away and the orc picked up at the top of the mountain when he came into the meat tree?
That is the same one.
First time? Yep. Or the second time? He lost it?
Martin.
Yep.
Plowman has yet another gift to give.
Yep.
Plowman is going to share the story of the great celestial stallion Regen. He's going to go over Regen's history, how he came to be who he is, his prowess, his greatness, so on and so forth. And then right at the very end, when the story is finished and the dragon is obviously enthralled, Plowman summons Regen.
Mm-hmm.
And Regen kicks the shit out of him?
Kicks the shit out of all of us, to be honest.
He is extremely pleased and hugs your horse.
How does Regen react?
Regen is very startled because, well, hey, he's not been attacked. He's been hugged by a dragon. He sort of looks at you strangely as if, what's going on here? This is weird.
And it's a dragon that doesn't look like a horse like some other dragons you come across.
Yep. Plowman just shrugs. He'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. So, you end up going through a few cycles of this with this dragon over various years, and by the time you finish, you've had about 7 years of interactions with this dragon on his birthday, learning about how Karameikos has evolved over this time frame. And that there is a dread vampire in the woods here that hunts the Duke's Road, wiping out challenges to the Traldara line, or to the Traldara people. So as the Duke has been protecting the country more and more, less of the Thiatan people have been attacked, and more of the slavers, the bandits, and giants have been targeted.
Okay, yep.
And it's been most of the people think of it as the Duke's Road serial killer.
Yep.
But the dragon confirms that it's an actual vampire.
Yeah.
Which you've met.
Indeed.
In the future.
And know way too well. Well, technically we've also met him in the past at that point too.
Yes.
Depending upon exactly which year he tells the series come through. Oh, actually, no, sorry, no, it was Penadir's team that actually stayed the night at the thing, doesn't it? So,
I believe it might have been Paradir, yeah.
So Dimitri may not have met him directly. Well, he's obviously met the vampire directly, but not in Karameikos.
And you do find out that Karameikos and the domain of Moldavia is linked quite closely by the undead.
Yes, he's been continuously sowing his wild oats throughout history.
Well, the Traldaran people are spread over Karameikos, Darakan, Arendi, Minrothad, and Galantry, spread up all that way.
Yep.
Though they were in the biggest congregation in Karameikos. Everywhere else they were just tribes.
Yeah. And obviously the important thing about that, the fact that we do this over a number of years, is obviously we managed to get him past his apparent death in our original timeline, and which meant that obviously he managed to avoid River and Co. at that point in time. So that's good to hear.
Yep. And he now he went from not being interested in anything to being interested in what's going on.
Yep.
And he also stood apart from the other dragons who had left the region.
Okay, so he did stay in the region after the dragons left, but
yeah, he did not go with them because basically they had recalled all dragons from the area.
Okay, so I guess that means that he's not necessarily likely to be a good source for more dragon allies, but he should be a good source to find out where the dragons went when we decide we really need to find out.
He is, because he basically has the pixies as his friends, and he keeps coming back on his birthday to this region because you guys keep showing up.
Yep. Well, and certainly the intent for Dimitri will be, once we're back into a less convoluted timeline, and he's making his, like, Karameikos is going to be his home base, obviously, still. He'll certainly be aiming to encourage and continue the interactions with the dragon, possibly even encouraging him to move closer to the keep. Or he'll find out that, in fact, the portal at the top of the keep that he hasn't yet gone through goes to that location.
Well, considering he is a coastal dragon,
is the brass dragon.
He's a water type dragon. He doesn't really have much in the way of alignment. He is. Most of the dragons are based on their elemental affiliation. So he is someone who is at what you would associate with the element of water and time.
Okay.
But also, having been elevated to brass, is one of the dragon royalty, because their metallic dragons are considered their nobles. So destined for great things, but doesn't want to do it. Okay, so yes, so Trellen does that, and what does Trellen? Where does Trellen believe he should drop one of the orbs he will have at his disposal?
Well, I think dropping the water orb somewhere nearby sounds mostly harmless.
When you say somewhere nearby, you're talking to like the main interactions.
Several hundred feet.
Yeah, it's like the main interactions are occurring along the Eastern Road, which is like south of the forest of Kalari Elves, but also not far from the coast, like not far from Keldar Bay.
You could always choose to have the water orb drop on the Black Eagle Barony.
That's what I was about to suggest, was perhaps we can stay within the Karameikos duchy, and but actually head to the western side and have it go for a nice tidal wave around Fort Doom.
Okay.
Okay, so you managed to drop it on the fleets that were in the middle of trying to blow each other up, and basically swamp and send onto the rocks all the slavers and pirates of that region.
Because in fact, I think that area was also where Simply Red's storyline took him to, wasn't it?
It was supposed to be where we had Little Miss, but
Little Miss, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
But that would be a good way of closing off those stories, with those ones being taken out by a whirlpool in the bay. So you ended up your thing with a coastal thing.
Yes.
And so Jeremy, with Dimitri's one, as Trellen used the water orb to end his storyline, what did you use to end yours? So you have the earth orb and the air orb.
Earth and air. Gonna say, how far can we travel before dropping the orb? I've got these sudden images of, hang on, there's a certain place about halfway to the Isle of Dread, isn't there? That'd be a lovely place to drop the Earth orb. About halfway, it can go off about halfway down that big long plastic tube. Stop the Alphatian getting access to the Hollow World.
Well, go drop it on the
Yes,
on the Isle of Dawn.
Isle of Dawn. Yes, Isle of Dawn as opposed to the Isle of Dread.
Yes.
So he will actually, if that's feasible, his plan is to actually try and, preferably the Earth Orb,
Yep.
onto the Isle of Dread. Isle of Dawn. Oh, hang on, no, Isle of Dawn, that's one that's between
Alphatian and Thyatis.
Alright, no. I was thinking of the and again, I'm not sure if this was a Dimitri one or a parody one now that I think about it. That there was one of the early excursions into the Hollow World was when they got taken down and ended up in a mining colony or something with some gnomes.
That is correct, and then it was destroyed quite a while ago.
Oh, it got destroyed already.
It did. Okay. So you could also drop the Earth Orb on the Hill Giants in Karameikos, stopping them from invading the area.
Well, they've certainly been causing problems, and no one's had a chance to go and talk to them as much. So the yes, even if you actually went up further beyond Castellum Keep, where I think it was like the Frost Giants, although I think actually they've gone down to Hill Giants only up there now.
Yeah, there's only Hill Giants, and they were south of Castellum Keep.
So but yes, okay, he will aim to help his old unit at Castellum Keep by eliminating or at least reducing some of those threats. Obviously, ensure that he has gone at least twice as far as he thinks he needs to on the idea that an earthquake in the middle of the mountains might be a problem for folks in the area.
Well, you do manage to stop the Hill Giants from rampaging through Karameikos, which was one of the storylines.
Nice.
Which is what the Earth Orb was useful for.
Yep.
And so that brings us to Plarman with the Air Orb in the lands of Ethengar.
The Air Orb. Wow, guys, this is the least useful one for me.
Hey, no. In Ethengar, it's probably a useful one in the sense that it's less likely to actually cause significant extra damage in nice big open plains.
And what Plarman is dealing with is an invasion of Haldanic Knights and Crusaders coming across the borders, trying to wipe his people out. The Great Khan himself has ordered a withdrawal of all the people from the borders, while he's sending all his troops to let the people of the Wagyu, Wagan, get away safely. Uyghur get away safely.
And yeah, hey, if you actually go up to the top of the plateau to set off the air orb, then hey, some Ethagarians might get blown off the plateau down and to meet up with them at the bottom.
Well, the thing is that I was more concerned about because it's orcs that are to the north of the Uyghurs, isn't it? The steppes.
To the north of the Uyghur are the Haldanic Knights.
I always thought they were green. Oh, there was a green menace up there.
There was a green menace to the southwest.
Southwest of Athengar. Because remember, that's where we actually went through the broken land when we on our first trip away from the after the first time look.
Yeah, no, I just misrecalled from my initial research. That's okay.
Yeah.
So it turns out I don't really care about orcs.
And you could do it in the broken land because there's no problem.
No. There's no effect on the Uyghurs. Don't care. All right, so Plowman is going to do his absolute best to use the air rule to wreak as much havoc throughout those Haldanic dickheads as possible.
So you have the most awesome combats on horseback with knights with shining swords, big pennants, big lances, stupid horses. They don't seem to understand that you can actually turn and flank someone because they only seem to go straight.
Idiots.
And that shooting from horseback is a skill that the Ethengarians have mastered, but the Haldanics don't seem to understand.
Hey, do you guys know that Plowman actually has a bow?
We do.
Oh, we hope so.
Just so you know, it's on his horse.
Apparently, his horse got a horse.
Yeah, no, he's had a bow and a horse from day one.
Yep.
And Plowman leads the fighting retreat of his people, keeping the enemy away from the refugees trying to get out of harm's way. So
I'm very tempted to drop this all on the Great Khan's face.
Well, they're kind of be thinking that, oh, hang on, we should have kept one of the orbs to sell at auction in Castellan. Because I'm sure Loki would love that.
Anyway, Plowman's gonna go do hero shit for a little while.
okay, so yes, Plowman does fight quite a lot of knights that he thought were definitely way below his weight level.
What?
They were way too easy.
I mean, he is the undefeated champion of the world.
So while Plowman is doing all this fighting, what are the others doing? What does Dimitri do in the face of a bunch of cultists, radicalists, and holier-than-thou paladins coming down to wipe out everything they see?
Of course, they're only Ethengarians, aren't they?
Hang on a second, I'd like to revise where that wall is. It's getting inserted directly into Dimitri's ass.
No, Dimitri's happy to do the hero thing as well, because, hey, the world needs him to be a hero.
Oh. Hang on a sec. Guys, I'm just going to jump on mute for a sec.
All good. So yeah.
You yelling, screaming, Dimitri.
So Dimitri gets a honorary member of the clan status.
Given personally by Plowman?
Quite possibly, but we'll leave that up to him.
No, it's one of the conditions of receiving the award. A bit like, what was the, I can't remember what show it was, but they say specifically the idea that the accidental heroes get their tokens given to them by someone who hated them throughout the whole process. But,
so how about Trellen? What does Trellen do for the clans?
Well, I'll imp try and impress them with my bow fighting skills. I don't know. Has it got like a set range?
Sorry about that, I'm back.
So yes, you are able to impress them with your ability to use the bow while on horseback.
Yes. Or even just running.
Standing on the horse rather than actually sitting on the horse.
Maybe.
And so I'm not sure if David heard, but Dimitri suggested that he got given a Hero of the Clans award from Plumman.
Dimitri gets it.
Yeah, okay. It was like because of Dimitri's heroics in the fighting off the Ethagarians, the Khan of Khans wanted to present Dimitri with a token of the appreciation of the clans, but Dimitri was only willing to accept it from the one that he knew closest of the clans.
Oh, you'll be accepting something in a second. Did Dimitri conduct himself effectively in battle?
Dimitri was surprisingly effective. He even cast spells.
Did he prove himself to be invaluable, and did he save the lives of many Uyghurs?
He did. And horses too.
I mean, actually, we all know Dimitri's a hero.
Why is Dimitri's player in my head right now? So what you're telling me is Dimitri actually put himself at risk in combat, saved a whole bunch of Ethangarians, and didn't actively try and preach the good word of Dimitri?
He did not.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
he might have looked like he was in danger, but obviously Dimitri was never actually in danger. except for the time when Plumman's sticking a pin on him.
As a player, I am disgusted. As a character, you have begrudgingly earned Plumman's so you have lessened Plumman's hatred of you.
Hey, Dimitri was very specific in the way in the fact that he knew that it would nettle Plumman specifically to do it.
Again, Plumman is much more amenable to this than I am. However, Plumman will happily recommend this, but also give Dimitri a sign of respect from the Uyghur people, which is
a punch in the face,
a necklace made of stinging desert thorns. And it is while he presents him with the Super Happy Friend Club Award, he also gives him the necklace of spiky thorns in a very, very violent manner.
Yes, Dimitri will accept this token of gratitude and acceptance of his wonderfulness, and ensure to give Plumman a great big hug, squeezing the nettle between us.
I would like an opposed athletics check, please.
I am happy if you want to do that.
The brass dragon.
You know what? An opposed grapple check.
Yeah, well, I think we can assume that Plumman can win any grapple that he wants to win, so that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Or any athletic or anything like that.
No, it's... Yeah, look, it's painful and you can't breathe.
That's right. He doesn't need to.
He has a necklace of adaptation.
So he's quite happy to apparently be squeezed
Do you think the fact that you don't have a necklace of adaptation?
Oh no, okay. He effectively continues the hug. The only challenge for Dimitri is reducing any evidence of pain on his face as it continues. So,
But
what were you asking about the dragon?
Go ahead, Martin.
Oh, that I managed to give it a hug without having to have a pose.
Oh yeah, no.
Well, you weren't trying to harm the dragon.
That's right.
Okay.
Yours was a hug between friends.
So yes, you will find yourselves in the 10th game year, which will be 1009. You'll have had a chance to gather yourself some people, some access to different organizations based on what you think your character's interested in, because when you get to level 11 you'll be considered leaders and actually have responsibilities in the world.
Okay, yeah, so currently, level 10 is still tier 2, isn't it?
Level 10 is still tier 2. So that's why I was giving you guys a chance to, as you figure out what you want to do for level 10, you also get to figure out what sort of organization you're building for your character to be how they're connected to the world.
I had my head that level 10 was when we actually got that, but yes, level 11 makes more sense. So, certainly, obviously, in Dimitri's case, he has managed to secure the deeds to Kuritsky Keep from Duke Stefan, and yes, he's been spending the time. He's been doing over.
Were you doing it for Quasquiton, not Kuritsky Keep?
Oh, okay, Quasquiton, yes. Sorry, I was looking at the map of Karameikos and thought, oh yeah, it's that one there, but yes, that's right.
So yeah, the Kalari Elves would be my choice of, I guess, inhabitants or whatever.
Well, they can rally behind this new up-and-coming elf who has just joined their people with his experience and wisdom and martial ways. That's right. The way of the open fist or the closed fist or the pointy fist.
Yeah. It is the pointy fist.
Or the way of the short man.
Yeah, there is a problem with the flame tongue, but anyway, only because it could burn down trees.
Oh, that's only a problem in a forest that is dry. If a forest is wet enough, the flames don't matter.
Okay, cool.
And I'm sure the old keep the forest very fresh.
All right.
Definitely along the river.
Cool.
So yes, the Kalari elves are getting behind our Trellen, and I believe the Uyghur are getting behind our Plowman.
No, the Ethagarian Knights, I understand.
Or the Haldenic Knights?
The Haldenic Knights, oh yes. Haldenic Knights.
Ethagarian Knights.
Yeah, they all try to copy themselves to be Haldenics, that's the thing.
Yeah, okay, if that's the case, then I've got some news.
So what does David see Plowman building up his own support network to be?
Empowering and arming and training the weaker people. And becoming enabling the Uyghurs to become the dominant clan, or at least much more powerful.
Well, with your influence, they do gain a lot of power. And Bradshaw seems to have a bunch of halfling assassins working with him.
I was hoping they were going to be working by trying to kill him.
Apparently, the fact that he wiped out the Dwarven clan responsible for most of the devastation in the Five Shires got him on side. So a small thing like that does help.
I'm gonna kill the Khan, even though he probably can't be killed.
Well, I was thinking that part of the rise for the Uyghurs was the fact that there was a bit of a vacuum available where the princess died not too long ago.
That is true.
Yeah, that is true.
And you do notice that everywhere.
Go through a sex change.
No, just like in the sense that the princess was obviously a significant leader of her clan at the point. So the loss of the princess and all her dowry would have led to a significant drop in that clan's power level.
Well, it was a big drop in all the clans because she was the people's princess. And it actually helped her clan gain more power because they're the only ones who didn't put anything into the dowry.
Mm-hmm.
Having learnt what her wishes were.
Yep.
So that's how she served her clan over her people and her party.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing the Uyghurs back from such a fall would be quite helpful for them. And Drazzle has been helping spread Dragonborn around the regions that you've been working in. So he seems to be helping set up little communities that assist with each of your struggles.
What a guy.
In that aspect, do we see any evidence of the apparent loss of all the Dragonborn when they got taken down and sent somewhere else? Or is this occurring effectively concurrently?
This is occurring after.
Yeah.
So he's re-establishing.
He's re-established them after they disappeared.
Yeah. Because there's been a vacuum in some of those areas.
Yep.
And I think that would be enough to bring all the characters up to speed for what they've done over that time frame. Let's see, was there anything else happening in that year?
Obviously we dealt with
just gonna go on mute for a second, guys.
All good.
Little Mrs. issues in the Black Eagle Barony. Did we end up dealing with Simply Red?
Well,
Captain Crimson's?
His one was you went to Alphatian.
No, yes, actually we already did. That's right.
So Drazzle also helped with that one.
Yeah.
So
someone just tried to break into my truck while we were in it.
Yes,
were they drunk? Were they going for the wrong truck? Because I mean, it's not like.
Where are you parked?
Guys, I've got to go for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, you find out that the Elven clan trees have gone into hibernation. So they're no longer actually providing any magical assistance to the region.
That's possibly why the Kalari elves are willing to flock behind this newcomer, because hey, he can save them.
With
the elders have failed us, so this newcomer can do it.
With the burning of the Alphatian Armada, Alphatia has declared war on Galantry.
Yeah, because obviously they did it.
And with the declaration of war on Galantry, the Haldanic Knights have declared war on Alphatia, And the Alphatian Empire has declared war on Alphatia. So,
are Haldanics and Alphatians, are they officially allying with Galantry, or it's just 3 different organisations all attacking Alphatia?
well, there are 3 different organisations all declaring war. So Alphatia declared war on Galantry.
Yeah.
Haldanic Knights declared war on Alphatia. And the Alphatian Empire declared war on Alphatia.
But it's not necessarily that Galantry, Thyata, or Haldan are actually working together in their war.
Yeah, there's been no alliance between stuff, but once Alphatia made its war known, the Thyatans said nope, not coming through us, and the Haldanic Knights said the same thing.
Yep.
Because
particularly now that you've lost a lot of your airships, so therefore you can't get over us either.
Yeah, because if they had their air fleet, there would be no contest.
Yeah.
It would have basically been a done deal. The Etruscan clans are worried about the Master of the Desert Nomad being so close to their region. He has pretty much taken all the regions to the west of the Etruscan clans.
Yep.
In Darakan, they're basically preparing for invasion. They're not exactly sure who's invading what and where, but they've been sending people to the western side of the country to help shore up their forts over there, thinking it might be enough to stop whatever this Master of the Desert Nomads has up his sleeve.
Yep.
In Ethengar, the Knights versus the Great Khan goes on for most of the year, the battle, with the most notable events happening with Plarman.
Yeah.
In the Five Shires and Karameikos region, there was a great naval battle where most of the pirate ships were sunk, as well as slavers.
Apparently there was also in the midst of the battle there was a significant tidal wave or whirlpool.
That is what sunk most of them.
Yep.
So in Galantry, you still hear rumours of the war between vampires continuing. In the northern reaches, it's gone rather quiet for the first time in a long time. Normally they have lots of activity. At the moment, there's not a lot happening.
The northern reaches,
which is where the Devastation Orb was sold.
It was actually, that's right. Yeah, that's the fault.
And the area above that Nor world is still talking about the elves fighting the undead of Denogath in the nation of Wendar.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about some demigod is causing trouble to the north as well.
Demigods to the north of us, demigods to the west of us.
Yeah.
Stuck in the middle of us.
They say that one of the cities of Thyatus has been sent to hell. Not saying which one, but they say one of them might have gone to hell.
Any indication as to whereabouts in Thyatus?
Just that there's reports of a missing city.
I was going to say, or how reliable these rumours are.
Well, rumours are everywhere. Hard to tell unless you've actually seen it yourself.
Yeah.
But hey, a lot of people say things have gone to hell when it just means that they've run out of food, they've run out of money, they've run out of plastic straws.
Yeah. Because obviously, yes. I mean, if it was some random city like Corendus, then that wouldn't matter too much.
So yes, there's just a whole lot of rumours and stuff going around saying that things aren't great around there, but with the declaration of war, you now know that there is definite intent on between those four nations for something to happen. So amusingly enough,
now they're also not really in a position to actually attack each other very easily, are they?
well, Galantry didn't declare war. Alphatia has to go through either Thyatis or the Haldanic Knights to get to Galantry.
Yeah.
They could try to go through Yalarum, but sending a bunch of mages through a desert that is very much anti-mage.
Yeah. So I'd be happy to see them go that way, but and I guess otherwise they could also go through potentially. But
So you would be happy based on your 2 thief levels.
And the Yalari people have practiced taking out mages
yes.
because they pushed the Thiatans and the Alphatians out of their region.
Right.
And no one in their right mind will attack the Northern Reaches.
And I guess also they don't want to go through Ethengar, or more specifically, they don't want to go through the Northern Reaches in sailboats.
Yes, because the last thing you want to do is tell the Vikings you're going through their area with things worth pillaging.
That's right. But yeah, so at this stage, whilst there's lots of war declared, there's not actually much specific combat between those warring nations because they can't actually touch each other right now.
Well,
I'm assuming Thyatis hasn't necessarily apparently started an invasion force to get across to Alphatia yet.
Well, they do have an army on the Isle of Dawn, as does Alphatia.
Oh yes, okay. So certainly there could be combat there.
They do have contested territory, but you believe they're in the middle of securing their forces, having gone through a bit of hardship on both sides of the coin.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Haldanic Knights, once the war was declared, pulled out of Ethengar.
Yep.
They
realised they didn't really want to have fights on multiple fronts, which is logical.
Though the declaration of war happened before the pullout.
Well, yeah. That makes sense too, on the idea that they knew they could keep fighting. They've been fighting the Ethengarians for generations. Not like declaring war against Alphatia is going to stop that instantaneously.
That is true. Okay, so
with the devastation orb released to stop the Haldanic advance into Ethengar, did that disrupt or interfere with the actual road leading from Ethengar to Haldan up the plateau?
It did not, but it did stop them having aerial support.
Okay. So,
which, considering they do have airships, meant that they couldn't field them for the battle.
Yeah, so obviously that was the advantage being in air, or that one, but yeah, so it didn't necessarily cause damage to the ground as such. Happy with that.
It did have the equivalent of a tornado run across a big chunk of area.
Yeah.
Which, considering the Ethengarians had withdrawn from the area, it was no damage to the people of Ethengar.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously, considering Ethengar is mostly open plains, a tornado going across, yep, it ripped up a few weeds and things like that, as well as a few Haldanic Knights and Haldanic airships. But yes, in terms of long-term physical damage to the land, very little.
Yep, so it was the perfect place to drop it.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else you guys would like to enter into the story for your characters before you level up and we pause till next session?
I think that certainly covers most of it. Obviously, as I said, Dimitri's plans will be basically, settling into the keep, taking the opportunity to carefully scout out and explore because there's at least one portal at the top of the tower that leads somewhere. You'll aim to find out where that goes and things like that.
Will he revive the wizard?
Sorry?
Will he revive the wizard? With the potion of stone to flesh.
Oh yes, that's right, because he was in a statue form, yes. Likely, but he will do some more research on exactly who he was, how he worked.
He was a wizard of Trellen. So
Yes.
he was never Theatan or part of their people.
No, that's right. But also, and also yes, he'd apparently left the tower. So the story's been, but yeah, if you wake him up again, then hey, Dimitri might have someone else claiming his tower.
Or someone to help him.
Yeah, exactly. So, particularly since one aspect about waking him up would be that he could give him back Zeligar's staff, because let's face it, it doesn't really fit Dimitri well. So, but yeah, so it would be the sort of thing that he'd be doing the research and finding out all he could, basically reading through his entire library and all his diaries and everything like that, to then come to the assessment as to whether or not he is likely to be able to at least get along and or learn from Zeligar.
Well, from what you gather, Zeligar actually fought and protected the people of Trellen against a lot of the rampaging gnolls that were still in the area after King Halav died.
Yep. And well, this is it, like I said. Dimitri certainly knows that Zeligar has information that he wants to know. That doesn't necessarily answer the question of whether or not Dimitri feels like he could learn from Zeligar.
Well,
in the sense of whether the relationship would be one that would actually allow transfer of knowledge. Well, certainly if he thinks it's more likely than not, then yes, Zeligar can return.
His notes do show that he was a teacher of the Trellen.
Yeah, and also, of course, I said, from back then, he might know something about the Halfling language, potentially.
That is true.
But yes, and obviously, taking advantage, catching up, with Dragon D and continuing those conversations.
So the dragon does move to your region to settle.
Oh, okay. There you go. So, and the Pixies?
The Pixies go with the dragon because the Pixies have adopted the dragon as an honorary Pixie.
Yes. So Dimitri's thinking, yeah, well, I guess it can't all go right then.
Though you do notice that they do not play practical jokes on anyone the dragon likes.
That's a good sign.
Well, if you're liked by one, they don't really want to upset the dragon.
Yeah, that's right. So, and let's face it, if the dragon's an honorary Pixie and he doesn't want to pick on them.
Is that the same brass dragon that I was friends with?
That is the same one you were friends with.
Yeah. The one whose birthday we've just been to for like half dozen years or so.
So now he thinks of you as long-term friends because you've attended his birthday for 6 years in a row.
And let's face it, that means effectively we've been seeing him every day as far as he's concerned. Because what's a year between friends?
Especially when they're dragons. They don't quite see time the same as everyone else does. Very much like elves. Oh yeah, I saw you last year. You're still a close friend.
Yep.
One of my best friends. We met, 10 years ago.
Obviously, nothing's changed in that time, so therefore. But yeah, okay, that certainly covered most of it to me too. But I will think about the next piece that go with it.
Yep.
And yes.
And
The book that the dragon offered. So yeah, maybe it's an ancient halfling gets in it.
And what does Trellen would like to have? Anything else you'd like to have gotten out of that year?
I don't think I need to get a lot out of it. I think the Ring of Evasion or whatever it is pretty good, and the hug for the brass dragon was pretty good. So pretty happy.
Okay, so Trellen has a group of want-to-be monks following him around, trying to learn from him, as they keep calling him master, even if he doesn't want them to.
Right.
Or Sensei, one of the two.
And much to his concern, they quote everything he says out of context.
Right.
As if it's the words of wisdom dropped from on high.
Yes, that they've even started compiling the Book of Trellen. They expect it to be the next gospel of the right way to be a martial artist.
Well, get yourself a longbow of venom and a flame tongue sword, and away you go.
Okay, yeah. Get yourself a longbow of venom, a flame tongue sword, and then only use your hands in combat.
That's about right.
Okay, so yes, you do notice that nearly all your followers are copying your style of fighting, dressing, talking, and interactions with people. So you've got the bluntest group of elves in the region. And you're the most charming of them.
Right. I don't think there's any lower that you can go beyond 8.
As an NPC, they can.
I was going to say, PCs wouldn't normally go lower than 8.
Right.
NPCs have a lot more room for manoeuvre.
You are a pinnacle amongst them of etiquette and chivalry.
No wonder they're considered wild elves.
And we'll have Plumman will have his Uyghur people getting themselves armed and armoured.
Yeah.
And Drazzle will have his Dragonborn all preparing for their next endeavour.
You mean Jack Nimmer's Dragonborn?
Well, he does have them in multiple countries, so Draknimmer will have a large way to have to organise when it's his time.
Yep. So, and obviously, depending upon exactly what we've worked out, if there are any adjustments to the regularity or the downsides of use of Yem's diamond,
Yep.
Dimitri will certainly be aiming to maintain regular communications with Yen as well. So,
Yep. Dimitri will learn that there is a portal to the Tower of Knowledge called the Lighthouse in Thyatis. In the Thyatin Mountains, hidden.
oh,
And the
I
lighthouse.
thought you were going to say the Hollow World. Oh, that make it a challenge.
Well, the lighthouse is in the Hollow World.
It is, yes. I thought
And it's one of the few portals that will go between them. And the lighthouse is reputed to have a copy of every book written.
So it's got the dictionary of the halfling language.
It apparently does. And potentially people who can translate and speak it. And that's one of the things Yems tells you as you spend time over that year learning things. So that's where Candlekeep is from the books set. So Candlekeep is the same place. And people who access this library are known as lantern bearers.
Yeah. So, after having had the opportunity to go back and forth through this portal a few times, Dimitri's opinion of the Hollow World is likely to improve significantly on the idea that A, it becomes a useful source of knowledge, B, he gets used to the idea of exactly how the magic works or doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And C, he can leave at any time.
And yes, the portal is two-way.
Yep.
And so it is a hidden from most, except the enlightened scholars.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically have a symbol of the lantern bearers, which is basically a torch symbol that you can use to gain access to other members of the society throughout the world.
Yes.
And Yem is one of their patrons.
More people that love Dimitri. Because we all know that to know him is to love him.
Okay, so I think that pretty much covers everything you guys need to know to bring you up to speed for the end of the time jumps and going into 10th level. And we'll try to get stuff updated online to catch up as I'm still slowly working my way through things.
That's right. So I'll update Dimitri and I'll let you know all that stuff as well. But yes, that sounds fairly nice. Obviously, Dimitri will have to be working on his teleportation, portaling skills type stuff, so he gets more ready access into Fire Mountains. So when we're talking Fire Mountains, we're talking the ones that are like just south of Yalara. Is that the area we're talking?
It's those mountains, yeah. Right in the middle of the country.
So, like north of Biazan, or east or west of Biazan?
Okay, let's see.
Just looking at the known world map.
Okay, so...
Yeah, that one.
So it would be north of Retibius. So if you can see a finger moving, roughly in the area between those two rivers.
There, happy with that.
Basically, it'd be a place where you can leave in a different direction that you came from.
That's interesting. I just realised that the map you've got up there is not actually the same map I've got in my hand, which is taken from the expert set, or possibly one of the modules like Isle of Dread or something.
So this one comes from the Rules Cyclopedia.
Yes, yeah, because it does actually cover. Because the map I've got goes. I say it might have come from the Isle of Dread game, because it actually goes down south far enough to actually include the Isle of Dread.
This one did as well, except I cut it off.
Okay, yeah.
So if you look at the size of the fold should go all the way down to the Isle of Dread.
Yeah. So the reason I noticed it was different was the fact that when you said that it was north of the town of whatever that I can't quite read.
Retibius.
Yeah, that town does not appear on my map. So, because obviously it was either a much earlier one, or they didn't go into as much detail anyway.
I believe the one you're looking at is an earlier one.
So I think that it either came from the expert or Isle of Dread, but yes, it came out significantly before the Rule Cyclopedia.
Okay, so I will call it a night there.
Yep, thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. Okay. We will get this picked up in a fortnight and see if we have any new people able to join in. I'm sure people at 10th level will have fun.
Yep, and I will see you next Wednesday.
That would be great.
Me too.
Okay.
Okay, have a good night all. Thanks very much.
Good night.
Later.